Hello everybody, I'm your brother 9, and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon FireRed. In the last episode, we caught 2 new members for our team, and we went all the way through the cycling road, which is Route 16, 17, and 18. And we have these 2 new members, which is the most important thing. We have Warume, who is now level 31. I went back through Route 16, 17, 18, and fought all of those trainers, which Warume evolved at level 25, which I didn't feel horrible about not doing on screen because you can catch Haunters, and I didn't want Warume to be only level 20. I didn't want to wait to get Warume up to level 25 for you guys because then Warume would be underleveled and that would not be fantastic. More underleveled than it currently is. But that's fine, it's now level 31, and we also caught Snorlax last episode, who will get a new name this episode. I also went and got a Farfetch'd from Route 22 and traded it for Chiding, who now has Fly. So our flying slave will be Chiding, and currently James Pond is chilling inside of the Pokemon Center, but I noticed something here in Viridian City. There's a place that we can cut after we get cut. We'll come back here, we can talk to this dude. I must have dozed off in the sun. I had this weird dream about a drowsy eating my dream, and I learned how to eat dreams. Ooh, this is too spooky. Let me teach it to a Pokemon so I can forget about it. This guy can teach Dream Eater to Pokemon that can learn it, which, by the way, Warume has Dream Eater already, but I figured I'd show this off. Warume, I didn't even show the other moves that Warume now has. Shadow Punch, Confuse Ray, and Dream Eater. I think those are all 3 new moves. But yes, that is what I wanted to show off here in Viridian City, just because I noticed it while I was running around. Now we are going to head to Lavender Town to name our Snorlax that we caught in the last episode, and then we will head south onto Route 12. Hey there, official name raider, how is it going? You are going to critique Snorlax's name? Alright, so we are going to name Snorlax Tommy after the character in Snowboard Kids because they look very similar, and I think that is a fantastic name for Snorlax because why not? Now, the important thing is that we can go on to Route 12, and there's a lot that we have to do here on Route 12. First off, there are a bunch of trainers that, oh wow, this guy is actually, he can look back. Let's not fight him because he's a fisherman and he probably just has a whole bunch of water Pokemon, which we don't care about. Do I have to fight you? Oh man, you turned at, I pressed the button too many times. The Fishing Fool versus the Pokemon Kid. Alright, well, this is perfectly okay, Hank, with your Goldeen, which is level 27. Dang, because you can actually get to this point pretty soon. I guess you guys can watch Warume in a nice battle, which we just got a critical hit. Cool, well, Warume's debut battle for you guys went quite well, if I do say so myself, even though Ghost is a physical type. So that's pretty cool. Wow, there are more fishermen than I expected, because we haven't even gotten to the point where if you like walk down here, yeah, here we go. See, there's another Snorlax over on this side. We will use the Poke Flute to awaken it. And we'll just run from this battle immediately, because we don't need to worry about this Snorlax. We already have our own. And now we can make our way to Route 11. Snorlax calmed down and gave a huge yawn and returned to the mountains. Now we can go anywhere we really want to. And we can continue past Snorlax into new areas. But first, we have this beautifulness here. Come in here. Hey, how's it going? I'm the fishing guru's younger brother. I simply love fishing. I can't bear to go without. Tell me, do you like to fish? I do like to fish. Great, I like your style. I think we can be friends. Take this and fish, young friend. We obtained the super rod, which is the best kind of rod. Yeah, for some reason you get the super rod before you get the old rod, or the good rod, which is the level 2 rod. You can get the good rod before the super rod, depending on how you do things. Like if you just go straight to Fuchsia City and not come back to Route 12 or whatever, because it is in Fuchsia City. But that's okay. We have the super rod, which is better in pretty much every single way. And this leads me into the next thing. Oh yeah, by the way, this guy, he loves seeing gigantic Magikarp, so you can go catch Magikarp, and they will have like different sizes, and you can show them to him, and he's like, wow, that's a really big Magikarp, and he'll be all happy, and I think he gives you stuff based on how big it is as well. But the important thing is that we have something new to talk about, and that is all of the new encounters that are chilling here on, well, not just on Route 16, but that we can get with the super rod, and there are a lot, so let's get right into them. I'm searching for a moonstone. Have you found one? If that item right there is a moonstone, I'm gonna be a tad salty. Okay, so our first Pokemon is a Pokemon that you can encounter in the grass here on Route 12. I think it's Route 12, yes. And that is Venonat. Venonat, it's alright. It has okay speed and special attack, but nothing really stands out from it. It's another bug poison Pokemon, and it's better than either Butterfree or Beedrill, but it's worse than Parasect, which, you know, neither of those things is saying much. Parasect's not very great, so being worse than that means it's even worse, and then Butterfree and Beedrill aren't very great, so it's not super fantastic. So, like most bug Pokemon, Venomoth is underwhelming and doesn't amount to much. Now, as for all new encounters on Route 12, that is it! That is all we care about for grass. However, since we just grabbed the Super Rod, let's talk about all of the Pokemon that you can get with the Super Rod, and there are a lot. First up, we have a FireRed exclusive Pokemon, Shelter. Shelter has one of the highest defenses in the game, but the rest of its stats don't back it up as much as one would want. It can take a lot of hits, provided that they are physical, but it won't be outspeeding much, and it can't do a ton of damage with the low attack stats. I personally really like Cloyster, but that's not until Generation 5 when it gets a new ability that is just absolutely monstrous. It's an iron. Okay, that's alright. I am fine with that. Yeah, it gets the ability called Skill Link that is crazy good and super fantastic for Shelter, and then there's some other stuff that you can do with it that's just fantastic. Now, as for the Leaf Green exclusive Pokemon, we have Staryu. Staryu has fantastic speed and good special attack. Water Psychic is a wonderful type combination that is great for offensive prowess, and it's also got Stab, Psychic, and Surf, which is really cool. Staryu also gets access to the coveted Bolt Beam combo, and it even gets Recover, so it's got all sorts of options for moves. Especially if you take too much damage, because it doesn't have great defenses, so you know that Recover is fantastic. Starmie is definitely a solid water Pokemon, and probably one of the best ones you'll get for offensive sets. Next up, we have Horsey. I've always really liked Horsey, but it doesn't have that great of stats and is a rather underwhelming water-type Pokemon. In Generation 2, however, they decided to give it a third evolution by trading Seadra while it's holding a Dragon Scale. Its stats get upped, it gains the mythical Dragon type, and it gets a better ability. But the lack of a decent move pool and any stat above 100 really take away from Kingdra's appeal, which is lame because Kingdra is one of my favorite looking Pokemon. Just from how it looks, I think it looks super cool. And it's also the first Dragon Pokemon that we are coming across in the game. So that's a little cool and interesting, I think so. Now, next up, we have Crabby. Crabby is a Pokemon that is very unfortunate to exist in any generation before Generation 4. It has really high attack and great defense, but it can't make use of the attack because water is a special type before Generation 4. It looks like a Pokemon that could do some serious damage, but it falls short. Now, one thing that is interesting about it is its ability Hyper Cutter, which not only prevents the Pokemon's attack stat from lowering, but also, which way can I go? I think I'm going to go this way. But Hyper Cutter can also be used outside of battle, kind of like Cut. Or I guess you're not using Hyper Cutter outside of battle, but when you use Cut outside of battle in Pokemon Emerald, and I think maybe Ruby Sapphire, there's a bunch of really tall grass. So you have your grass that we see, your tall grass, but there's like really tall grass in Generation 3 games. And you can actually cut those, like one at a time or something. But if your Pokemon has Hyper Cutter, you can cut more than just one at a time, which is pretty cool. And it's also kind of interesting because there aren't many other abilities that have like a presence outside of battle. Like, I think it'd be really sweet if Swift Swim had a presence outside of battle, because then, you know, there'd be all sorts of situations where, like, you'd be able to swim faster with Surf. So I think that's an interesting thing. Alright, before I continue with more Super Rod Pokemon, we have actually made our way almost all the way to Fuchsia City. We can get to Fuchsia City without having to fight any other trainers. I can just keep going through Route 15 here and not have to get any other trainers. So I will be fighting other trainers and trying to catch Pokemon. But first, I want to talk about a new encounter on, I believe, Route 13, 14, and 15. And that is Ditto. Ditto is a wonderful Pokemon for many different reasons, except for its battle prowess, which is not very good. And it is interesting, but it's not fantastic. It has one move, Transform. And when Ditto uses Transform, it transforms into its opponent. That's what it does. It copies everything about the Pokemon except for its HP stat, which isn't too great because Ditto only has base 48 in all of its stats. And hey, look, there it is right there. So you're going to see it's going to transform into this bad boy Haunter right here. I think we will confuse it. However, since Ditto has to waste a turn to use Transform, you're guaranteed to at least take one hit and always be one step behind the opponent. So even if it was good to have the exact Pokemon's moveset and everything to use against them, you're always going to be set behind the opponent. And you're always going to have less health because you have base 48 HP. Now, Ditto's actual use in why it is wonderful comes in the fact that it can be bred, I think that's the right word, with any other Pokemon in the game as long as that species has the ability to breed in any way. Which is fantastic because Generation 2 brought along the ability to breed Pokemon, which we haven't seen yet and we won't see for quite a while, but it is kind of fantastic. Now, another thing about Ditto is that it has a very low catch rate of only 35, I believe. So it's a little better than the 25 that Snorlax has, but still not all that great. Also, I'm going to bring out Tommy because Ditto can't really do much to Tommy, so that's fantastic. We have 140 HP. Look at Tommy's 140 HP. That's crazy high. Now, while I'm trying to do more of this fighting, catching this Ditto here, let's talk about the other 3 Pokemon that you can get on this, or with the Super Rod. First up, we have Poliwag. Poliwag is another Pokemon that has a split evolution, but this is a 3rd evolution split. First up is probably the most underwhelming evolution, since all that changes physically is that it gets angry Poliwrath. Poliwrath is a water fighting, which is a really cool typing that I honestly love, but it's not exactly good or bad. You get some, you lose some. Poliwrath doesn't have any great stats, but it can set up with Substitute and Belly Drum. It can be a menace if you do that. Now, if you trade Poliwhirl while it is holding the King's Rock, it will evolve into Politoed. Politoed has good special defense, but it doesn't really have much of anything else. Which means that it's just another underwhelming water type until Generation 5 gives it one of the best abilities in the entire game, and it becomes crazy good. But this is Generation 3. Also, I have no idea what I want to name this Ditto. Let's name it Larry, just because we can name Ditto whatever we want to name it. That sounds fantastic. Alright, now to continue with more Pokemon with the Super Rod. We have Psyduck. Psyduck is a FireRed exclusive Pokemon, and it's a very awkward Pokemon that doesn't have anything great about it. Like Kingdra, all of its stats are below 100, so it doesn't really stand out too much. It does have a decent move pool, and Damp is an interesting ability in that it prevents any kind of moves like Explosion or Self-Destruct having any kind of effect. So that's cool, but all in all, it's really just another average water type. It's a little famous because Misty has one in the anime, which is kind of weird because they kind of make it seem like Psyduck and Golduck are water psychic type Pokemon, because when Psyduck gets headaches, it kind of does like psychic things, which is weird, but you know, whatever they want to do. Now, as for the Leaf Green exclusive Pokemon, we have Slowpoke. Slowpoke is a famously dopey Pokemon and one of my personal favorites. Its first evolution, Slowbro, used to have one of the best sets in all of competitive Pokemon back in Generation 1. And while it isn't at that level anymore, the high defense, that's a weird way of saying it, the high defense and special attacks still let Slowbro work as a bulky water type that can dole out some damage as well. The only reason it has a downfall is because the special stat has been split into special attack and defense, and amnesia is no longer as good as it used to be. Now, if you trade Slowpoke that is holding a King's Rock, it will evolve into the royal Pokemon Slowking. Slowking is very similar to Slowbro, but it's weaker. It has high special defense rather than physical defense, which doesn't sound like much of a change, but it definitely makes a difference. Slowbro is the superior Pokemon, especially when you get to later generations, when Slowbro can evolve into Mega Slowbro, which is a ridiculously looking Pokemon. Ridiculously looking? Yeah, I think that's how you say that. Ridiculously looking Pokemon, but I love it, and it's fantastic. Whew! Alright, that is all of the new Pokemon that you can catch with the Super Rod and here on the routes leading from Lavender Town to Fuchsia City. My goodness, we spend so much time talking about all sorts of Pokemon, and that's not even the bulk of it, because we still have a ton of Pokemon to talk about coming up really soon, specifically in Fuchsia City itself. But we don't have to worry about that just in the next episode because, oh dang, I did not mean to get caught by Pokemon. But we have something else that we're going to be doing next episode. This is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please click that like button. Remember, you can always click subscribe if you want to stay updated on this series and other stuff coming out from me in the next episode. Since we are here at Fuchsia City, we will take on the gym leader of Fuchsia City and check out almost everything that Fuchsia City has for us has to offer for us. And I hope that you're having a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.